Hey, hear me out. You probably think EA is the greediest gaming company out there, right? But what if I told you that there is a game studio that makes EA seems not as bad as we usually think? Yeah, I'm serious. There is a game that just came out recently and is so messy on so many levels that it might be just one of the worst gaming launch of 2025. It's called Upin Ipin Universe. If you're not from Southeast Asia, you might be wondering, what is Upin Ipin? Well, Upin Ipin is a Malaysian animated series made by a studio called Playskopa. It first aired in 2007 and has been continuously broadcast on television ever since. It's super popular in Malaysia, Indonesia, and other parts of Southeast Asia. It has kids as their main audience, but honestly, even people in their 20s like me have a nostalgic memory of watching it. The show is wholesome, funny, and filled with cultural lessons. It's basically a childhood icon here. So fast forward to 2025, Rescopac decided to make a game based on their series. It's called Upin Ipin Universe and is developed by Rescopac Game Development in collaborations with Streamline Studio, a team that's helped with major titles like Street Fighter, Final Fantasy XV, and Cyberpunk DLC. Sounds promising, right? Well, that's where the good news ends. So now, the big question is, what exactly went wrong with this game? First of all, let's talk about the controversy surrounding the studio who responsible for the game. Dreamland Studio Malaysia, the developer of the game, was exposed in an article on nemayagaming.com, which I'll link the article in the description below. It's written in English, so feel free to check it out. The report revealed some serious issues, like employees weren't paid for months, pay slips come late, and severance was stretched out over up to a year. In some cases, staff were forced to take on an extra project for free under the threat of not being paid at all. And even worse, by March 2025, the company still hadn't fully paid their pension contribution. And yeah, that's already a huge red flag. And Let's Go Park themselves aren't innocent either. They released a podcast on their YouTube channel titled Drama di Lokasi Penggambaran 2 years ago, where they casually discussed their internal company culture without realizing how toxic and unprofessional it actually sounded. In the video, they spoke openly about things like unrealistic deadlines, favoritism, overworking junior staff, and even dismissing sick leave as unimportant. What's shocking is how they seem proud of it, as if those things were just normal part of running a company. That podcast received major backlash. As of now, the video have been viewed over 180,000 times with 554 likes and 4,400 dislikes. I mean, that means over 88% of dislike. There are timestamps in the comments breaking it all down. And honestly, it's shocking how unaware they are of how bad it is. Alright, now let's talk about the game itself. The publishers announced that the game would launch at price of $40. Yes, 40 freaking dollars. That's a high-end AA title price for a first-time game from a small regional IP with a niche market. I mean, it's just mostly Malaysia and Indonesia. Let's be real. Many families here can afford to drop that kind of cash on a game, especially when you realize their main audience is a kid. Imagine spending a quarter of your monthly salary just so your child can play a buggy game. It's absurd. Their excuse? It's the only Upin Ipin game ever made. Yeah, that's not how the pricing works in the gaming industry. I know game pricing lately has been ridiculous, but here's the thing. In my country, a game that could be a big contender for Game of the Year this year, Clear Obscure, is priced at just $30. And one of my all-time favorites, Elden Ring, is only $37. So let me ask you this. If you have $40, what would you choose? Elden Ring, Clear Obscure, or this? Not only it's overpriced, but the game itself is also completely broken at launch. It's full of bugs. Seriously, it feels like an early access release. Glitches everywhere, poor optimization, unpolished gameplay, and yet they're asking for $40 upfront. Now I think the game pushed out a few patches to fix some of the issue, but here's the thing. If you're confidently charging $40 from the start, you need to release the best version of your game on day one. That's what people expect when you slap a high-end price tag on it.
And the bugs aren't even the only problem. As you can see from the gameplay footage I showed this whole video, the camera movement feels horrible. The transition between angles make it look like the game is glitching out. The world feels empty without any NPC. The facial expression looks soulless, and even the character proportions feels wrong. The kids look so tiny, it's almost like baby-sized models running around the woods, especially when you compare them to leaves or trees. I know they're supposed to be children, but come on, they're not that small. And then we have the story. Honestly, it's not enjoyable at all. The game is filled mostly with repetitive side quests, while the main story doesn't live up to the expectations. This is a huge missed opportunity because the Upin Ipin already has so many storylines from the animation that could have been adapted. At the very least, they could take an inspiration from one of their movies or even few episodes from the series. That's what fans were expecting. Instead, the story feels dull and empty, drowned out by repetitive side quests that didn't even show up properly on the map.
Now we move to the next problem. And here's where it really gets ugly. Winda Basudara, a huge Indonesian YouTuber with over 17 million subscribers, streamed the game and got over 3 million views, only to be hit with a copyright claim by the publisher. The estimated loss around $600 to $1,200 in ad revenue just because of in-game music that used for the game. He appealed the claim, but it got denied immediately. He said that he didn't really care about the money. He's just disappointed that they didn't even support the content creators who play their game. What worse is how tone-deaf this move was. I mean, in today's gaming world, content creators are a big reason games like Lethal Company, Repo, or Peak recently blew up. It's a win-win situation. Creators get views and income, devs also get a free exposure for their game. But instead of embracing that, this game shut it down immediately. They clearly don't understand how this industry works. And yeah, the backlash came hard. But it doesn't stop there. After taking down his revenue, the dev had audacity to use a clip from his livestream and posted it as a part of a TikTok ad to promote the game without his permission. So not only did they take the money he should earn, they also used his content to advertise their product for free. This whole situation showed that Let's Go Park has no idea how the gaming industry works. Content creators are the biggest marketing tool you can get, and it's free promotions. Some publishers even pay content creators to play their game. And that's fair, because it can make people interested in your game. Especially with a big IP like this. You don't need to pay them. They're already waiting to play the game. But what happened? The dev basically said, screw the content creators, we want the money, none of the promotions. It's like they try to copy the rules of the animation industry, which they actually discussed before on their podcast, saying that, come, use the clip from our animation, and the money will come to us. Yeah, that might fly in animation industry, but in gaming, it's a one-way ticket to killing your own hype. After all the backlash, the studio released a Q&A video responding to people's comment about the game. But instead of apologizing, they just doubled down. They defended the $40 price tag by claiming they'd done their market research and decided that's fair price for the game. They also said you can mute the game to avoid the copyright issue, but that's completely killing the game atmosphere. Look, I've never been a fan of games that put the copyrighted music in them because the solution they always offer is just to mute the music. And I hate that. It feels like they think content creators only care about the income that they get rather than being the actual fan who want the full experience of the game. That's a terrible mindset to have if you want your game to succeed. So let's summarize what they do wrong. First, They charge $40. That clearly didn't suit the Southeast Asian market. Then they copyrighted the content creator who just played their game. And that obviously breaks down their chance to break through the global market. And the game itself is not enjoyable, with so many bugs and glitches. So what's the result of all this? The game is currently sitting at mixed review on Steam, with only 71 reviews total. At its peak, only 59 people were playing it at the same time. It's catastrophic for a release that have the hype like this. If they had priced it at just $15 to $20 like everyone was hoping for, and stay away from all of that copyright drama, I'm telling you, there would be at least 500, maybe even 1,000 players jumping in on day one. No doubt about it. This whole disaster proved one thing. You can't just jump into gaming industry without understanding it. You need to respect the audience, price your product fairly, and most importantly, work with the community, not against it. The frustrating part is that the game is actually enjoyable once most of the bugs are fixed, and even if it's still a bit buggy, if the price were reasonable, a lot of people would fine with it. It's just the combination of those two problems, being overpriced and being broken at launch. That really broke the game down. Because of that, even if they fix one of those issues, the hype is never coming back. I really hope Risco Pop keeps patching this game and eventually lower the price. Because here's the truth. When Steam seasonal sales hit, and the game finally dropped to $15 to $20, it could easily smash its peak player count. Why? Because people are still waiting. The audience is there. The fans are there. But right now, they're waiting on the sidelines. Just waiting for a fair reason to jump in. Anyway, this is my first video on the channel, so if you enjoyed this breakdown or found it interesting, please give it a like and subscribe to support the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.